Hello, and welcome back to True Crime Friday. As always, I am Ava Starner, and this Friday, we are going to be focusing on the Maine mass shooting. But before we get started, there are a couple of announcements I would like to make. First, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched week after week and given me endless amounts of support. It truly does mean the world to me, and I cannot thank you enough. Also, I just want to remind my young listeners to have parental supervision at all times before listening. Some things I have to say may be a little much for you to listen to, so please make sure to ask a parent or guardian first. Now that I have all those announcements out of the way, it is time to get into the crime. This week, we will be talking about a mass murder in Lewiston, Maine that ended up killing 18 people and injuring 13. The action took place on October 25th of 2023 at a bowling alley and a restaurant. The victim's name was Robert Card, who is 40, and was born and raised in Bowdoin, Maine, a town near Lewiston. He was described as a 5'11 male and weighing around 230 pounds. Card had been hospitalized in July after showing erratic behavior after training with the Army Reserves. Card had threatened to shoot up the Army Reserve in Saco. Reamer, who is an Army Reserve captain, says that he was uncooperative. However, he was alive and still breathing. Sockfold mentioned Maine's yellow flag law, which can be used to remove guns from potentially dangerous people, after Reamer said Card had refused medical treatment after his hospitalization. Now, this part is really cool to have a deep dive into because although Maine does have this yellow flag law, which states that you can remove guns from potentially dangerous people, they also don't want to make Card angry enough to shoot up a place. And so this makes things really hard on these people that are in charge because they don't want to make the wrong decision and put dynamite in a pool of gas. You also don't want to put yourself in any type of serious situation that you could get hurt in any type of way. So you want to do this in the safest way possible. Me, personally, I would think that I would take him into a place where there's a lot of people so that you don't have any worries. Take the guns away from him and then put him in maybe like an insane asylum for a little bit. But I would love to see what your feedback is. So if you would love, just leave that in the comments and I'll read them. That'd be very much appreciated. Although this was being thought over by all the Army Reserves, on October 25th, 2023, they were officially too late, and Robert Card decided to shoot up a bowling alley and a restaurant in Lewiston, Maine. At the end, after everything was done, 18 was confirmed dead and 13 were injured. Now, it doesn't really give a whole reason why Card did this in the first place. Some people think that it was just because he got so mad about the whole situation and why he was in a hospital for so long that his brain wasn't in the right place. I mean, like most mass murders, their minds are corrupted and they don't think right. And so the way that we think compared to the way that they think is way different. Most people tend to agree with that one, just that his mind was in a really difficult situation and that his mind wasn't in the right spot. We don't really know what happened prior to this. Obviously, the Army Reserve was the first time that we really saw something happen like this. But we're not really quite sure what uprised his brain to become this way or if it was slowly affecting whenever he was a child up until now. Card was found dead 2 days after the shooting in his car with 3 different guns in his car. We're not 100% positive what each type of gun was. I wasn't able to find that information. But we do know that there were 3 different guns, 2 around his waist whenever he was dead in the car, and 1 in the car, which we assume that he shot himself with. After everyone in the community was sure that he was dead, this had taken a humongous toll on the community. I mean, like any other murder, it's going to take time to process and to, grieve the loved ones that you lost. Well, imagine having to grieve that times 18. I mean, like this town is very tight, and I mean, much like the town that I live in, I mean, everyone kind of knows everyone, and so you just want to be there and support everyone as much as possible. And like the 13 that were injured, I mean, it's just a waiting process, and you don't know if they're going to get better or if they're going to die. I mean, it's a very grieving time in life for this town.
Have you ever experienced rough toilet paper on your bum? Does it itch when you walk? Do you wish that there was a solution? Well, here it is. Better Roll. It's better for your bum. It is currently now available in all Walmart stores near you. After all that washing your hands, are your hands dried out? Well, here's the solution. Miami Beach Bum Cream. It can be used for those dry hands as well as your dry bum. And if you just went to Walmart and you forgot it, it's okay. Because you can now get your Better Roll toilet paper and your Miami Beach Bum Cream. You just have to call the number right now, 1-800-588-3201. Right now, call 1-800-588-3201.
All right, so it is time for probably my favorite part of the podcast. I love to get your guys' feedback on all of this, so I put out a poll on my Instagram story, you asking me questions that I can answer. So I just wanted to read a couple of those, and see how I would best answer them. But I also want to see if I could find any of this information maybe online. So, if you want to make sure you get your answer, you can leave me a comment down below with a question, and if I find the answer to it, I will gladly comment back. But one of the most asked questions that I got was, what could they have done to prevent this or make it better? In my opinion, I think acting faster would have came a long way in this. Maine does have that yellow flag law. But I feel like they almost moved too slow with this. I mean, he got hospitalized in June. This murder happened in October, so they had a little over 4 months to get this all figured out, which I do understand that people are very busy, obviously, and I would never blame them for this, because obviously they didn't know what was coming. They needed to think it over a little bit more and how they could do this effectively. But you do want to make sure you have all the precautions. So, like coming up with every scenario that could happen, you want to make sure that you're prepared for all of those. So I think acting sooner on this said situation could have came a long way, but I also don't think that we should be blaming the police or the Army Reserves for any of this, because to be honest, they didn't know what was coming. None of us know what was coming. They just knew that this may be a person that might be dangerous, and they wanted to act upon it and maybe use the Maine's yellow flag law on it. But to answer your question, I feel like if we would have moved a little bit sooner on this, it would have either pushed it back or maybe prevented the whole entire thing. Another question that I got asked was, why would Card pick these two locations? And I kind of have a question to answer that. I mean, why would any murderer pick a location? Murderers have a mind, and it doesn't work like any of ours. I mean, murderers have this deep, dark side to them, and sometimes murderers, whenever they think of killing, they just have to do it right away. So, some murderers, they go out one day deciding that they're gonna kill, and they kind of just pick a spot, and that's where they're gonna kill. Other ones, there's a story behind it. Maybe someone's there that they know, or maybe there was something that happened there that they don't really like, and so they just want to get it out of their mind. But I mean, these two locations in particular, there wasn't really a backstory to any of them that I could find. The bowling alley and the restaurant kind of were just close to where he lived for his whole entire life. But we're not quite sure why he picked these places. Then again, his mind wasn't really in the right spot, and so there are some questions that I kind of wish that he would still be alive for, just so that he could answer for us, and that would make this case a lot more interesting. So we would have answers to all of these. But unfortunately, he did decide to kill himself. Which he probably would have gotten the death penalty or life in jail anyway. But it would have been great to ask him some of these questions.
Alright, that is all that I have for today. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. I mean, it's really cool to actually dive into a murder case and such a extravagant one where, I mean, so many people were killed and injured, and just looking at how you can look at it in different people's eyes. Like, I mean, parents are hurting from this situation, children are hurting from this situation. It's so incredibly, like, realistic that something like this can happen, and you just never know when and where it's going to happen at. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what I should do next week. I do have a good idea of what I want to do, but leave a comment down below. Let me know what murder cases you guys want me to do a podcast on, and I'll for sure look at those. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed, and tune in next Friday on True Crime Friday.